Well, we all heard that Daredevil Born Again is getting a massive creative overhaul by Marvel Studios. And it appears now we have some new details about what's happening behind the scenes and just how much of the original Netflix show is canon and what Marvel might not be using. Let's take a couple minutes to dive into the report, who it's from, which is always important, and why I think this is something that's been fairly predictable all along. Now, before we do that though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC videos. We want to be your place for all the superhero news, but we're going to bring it to you truthfully and transparently so you are really in the know. Well, like we were saying, when it became apparent Daredevil Born Again was kind of ready to crash and burn, Marvel sent the whole project back to the drawing board. We know this is going to delay the series, but based on what we've been hearing from a lot of sources, this is more than likely the best news possible. Now, in the last week or so, we've been getting a lot of updated news. And one aspect we've been hearing a lot about is the canonical status of that original Netflix show. One of these reports comes via Jeff Snyder, who typically shares a lot of really interesting Hollywood information on the Hot Mic podcast. And he gave us multiple updates. Now, according to him, roughly 9 episodes of the show were shot before production had the plug pulled. And now that material has been whittled down to apparently 6 episodes, with the rest being rewritten by Dario Scardapane. Now, this includes the pilot episode, which is being completely rewritten and reshot and directed, and is probably a really big key in setting up the series. Now, apparently the plan is still to have an 18-episode series, but it will indeed be split into 2 halves, but they won't be referred to as a Season 2. Apparently the reason for it not being referred to as a Season 2 is contractual obligations. Most likely meaning paying those in front and behind the camera basically costs less when you shoot 1 season versus 2 seasons. And if you understand how Hollywood contracts work, that is really Marvel and Disney going kind of cheap on their people and basically getting 2 seasons for the price of roughly 1.5. Now, Snyder did go on to make it pretty clear there's most likely going to be a full-on year between each batch of episodes, even suggesting the series will still be shooting the second half when we finally get to see the premiere. Now, as far as Daredevil Born Again and how it ties to the original Netflix series, well, Roka went on to explain while the shows are considered canon, not everything will be carried over into the new Marvel Studios project. Marvel Studios will pick and choose what it wants, but they absolutely will not be beholden to Marvel Television creative decisions. Actually, in the interview he said, what was not going to be the same Daredevil from Netflix is now going to be the same Daredevil from Netflix, with an asterisk of not everything being canon. Now, this is something we've suggested all along, that Marvel Studios more than likely would be cherry-picking everything from Netflix, using what works, and ignoring or pretending what doesn't work doesn't exist. This would allow them to take the best of what did work on Netflix, not only with Matt Murdock and Daredevil, but the whole library of characters they brought to life there, and bring them over to the MCU in a way that makes sense to fans, but still allows those old series to have some weight, and quite honestly, get them streams over on the Disney Plus platform. Now, Daredevil Born Again is likely to premiere in 2025 and 2026, so that gives you an idea of how far out some of this content is. We've also been hearing a lot of other reports about Daredevil news, including the White Tiger still being a big part of the series, which I think is a great idea and we'll do a future video on, and how the character is very likely, but unconfirmed, appearing in Spider-Man 4. This suggests that Kingpin's Devil's Reign storyline will indeed be a big part of Daredevil Born Again, and it'll fulfill one of the promises Kevin Feige made that Daredevil and Spider-Man would indeed be leading a group of street-level heroes in New York City, something fans have wanted for a really long time. Hopefully we get more confirmation of other Netflix characters like Luke Cage or Iron Fist. Honestly, each of these characters had their challenges, but I did enjoy those series, and if Marvel can build off of those, at least until Secret Wars, I think that's a good deal for fans.